radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Welcome to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Yes, today is the 13th of December 2024. It is a beautiful Friday and it has actually been a wonderful week so far. And I trust that we are also looking forward to even much more beautiful days to come. It is beginning to look a lot like Christmas, isn't it? Well, except, of course, for the dry weather and what a lot of people who have, some underlying respiratory issues are going through at this time. It's a serious issue, but through it all, just find time to just rest. Ensure you stay hydrated. Very, very important. Always have a bottle of water with you everywhere you go. Make sure that, you take a sip every once in a while. Very, very important. Not just when you eat. Normally, no. You're not supposed to only drink water when you have your meals. You're supposed to, hydrate yourself every now and then. Recommended is about every 3 hours or so or thereabout. But, do you, whatever suits you, whatever is more convenient for you, that will not affect your day. Just have a bottle of water with you and stay hydrated. It's really, really getting dry out there, and the weather is, it's atch. I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, so it's time for us to look through the major trending stories on the front pages of our papers, and we have our papers here. The Punch, Vanguard, and the Guardian newspaper, of course, in no particular order. So we'll be looking through these stories, giving in-depth analysis to them, and we'll do that up until about 8:30, and we take a short commercial break. By 8:40, we are back for Mainland Focus, and that's the part where you get to be a part of the conversation. Today being Friday, of course, we don't have the luxury of time as we usually do, so we would really appreciate it that by the time we move on to Mainland Focus, you stick within the 2 minutes time frame that's allotted to each caller. So we really, really appreciate that. My name is Omobola Sandra, always is, always will be, and I have Fuhad Sahid with me via the phone line, who will be giving analysis to the stories that we're going to be looking through this morning. We're social, also very important for you to note. You can follow the program live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM, and you can also drop your comments in the live chat section. I would also take those as the show progresses. So the handle to look out for is Mainland 98.3 FM on both Facebook and YouTube. Also do well to follow, like, share, subscribe on our platforms. Would really appreciate the support. Time check right now is 7:46 a.m. Good morning, Fuad.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much. I've been better. I'm well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Just looking ahead for what the festive period would bring. It's a bit quiet in town. Quiet and...
but it did not concern you, Fuad. Why?
I celebrate all festivals. I celebrate everything.
So you celebrate Hanukkah too with the Jews?
I don't know about that. At least I celebrate the ones I know.
The ones we celebrate in Nigeria. So you celebrate Halloween too? You celebrate Halloween?
Halloween is not a Nigerian thing.
But they do it in Nigeria. Now. Some people do.
We try to do things that we don't even
have an understanding of.
We just do it. I don't know how Halloween became, it's a Nigerian thing, really. But I know I celebrate all the Muslim festivals, and I also celebrate my Christian brothers and sisters.
Oh, yeah. That's so lovely.
I'll be eating chicken. So
I don't know
few
about that.
friends, as you said
I
already.
honestly don't know about that. There's a lot that's happening. A lot of people are going through a lot. So I don't know about the chicken, but I wish you all the best in your endeavors to
To eat chicken.
to eat chicken this season. Okay, so let's see what we have here. What the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper: local government autonomy. Federal government threatens contempt suit against errant governors. And we have a rider here that says lawyers, state AGs, aiding governors risk LPDC sanctions as Fagbemi accuses governors of treason. So apparently, there are some,
Treason, ke?
you know, this treason. I've heard it a lot in 2024 than I've ever heard it in my whole life.
On all cases and all matters. Treason
Combined.
just comes up.
I've heard it a lot in 2024 alone. I think since about August or so, it has just been everywhere.
Maybe we are now defining the word treason. We have a different meaning now to treason. Because in those days, when you hear treason, the first thing that comes to mind is somebody is trying to overthrow the government. And it comes with capital punishment. But these days, everybody keeps throwing it into the conversation.
But that's
You shut down the national grid, then it's treason.
But that's just but that's what it is. That is what treason
Yeah.
is when you betray your country, when you try
attempt,
to
yeah.
overthrow no,
Legitimate
the
government,
crime
yeah.
of betraying your country is treason. When you attempt to overthrow the sovereignty or the government of the day, is treason. And well, in layman language, maybe for example, now Said Fuad committed treason against me. The action of betraying someone or something, that's another thing. But the crux of it is the fact that when you hear treason, what comes to your mind is, oh no, that's a huge deal. It's a big deal, and it's something that you hear sparingly. But in 2024, it's just been all over the place. And the report is giving us now this morning that the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi SAN has issued a stern warning to state governors that are bypassing the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy, threatening to seek a contempt of court suit if the defiance continues. All right. So let's take us back a bit to what our Attorney General is referring to, and that's the court judgment on July 11, 2024, where we had landmark judgment affirming financial autonomy of the 774 local government areas in the state, which stops governors from further controlling the funds that are meant for the councils. And so there's a lot of controversy that follows that, but of course, with that, since then, a lot of state governors rather had to have some in a what's that word, hurry, kind of just let's quickly put something together as regards local government elections, or if those are local government elections anyways. And for more than 5 months after the judgment, the federal government has not effected direct payments of allocations to local government as directed by the Apex Court. So the funds are still being paid into the joint account, and that is where the Attorney General is coming from now. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy Wale Edun said the federal government is yet to commence direct payment to the respective local government due to, quote, open quote, practical impediments, end of quote. I don't know what that is, but it was learned that
They are yet to commence direct payment due to what, Sandra?
practical impediments, quote and unquote. Yes, according to Minister Wale Edun. That they said a committee has been set up now by the federal government to look at the practicability of the judgment. Since July, I don't know. Words fail me at this point. There are challenges on implementing this ruling with concerns that, according to the federal government, they said that they are facing some challenges implementing the ruling.
What exactly is the challenge? It should have been clear.
Practical impediments.
What is practical impediment, Sandra? How do you define that?
Impediments. Practical impediments.
They should break it down. What are those impediments? That practical impediment. What does it mean? It would have been nice to have a breakdown of why, after 5 months of the Supreme Court judgment that everybody celebrated, even though some of us told us that, look, a Supreme Court judgment does not automatically amend sections of the constitution, or does not automatically solve a problem, like financial autonomy for our local government. You can see where we are now. And to the AGF, I think he has also suddenly discovered that backdoor approach of running to the Supreme Court to try to get some form of autonomy for the local government is not eventually going to work. And you saw that we said it, that look, you can't put the cart before the horse. The idea of, you've made an attempt to review the constitution, it has failed severally. Even former President Muhammadu Buhari attempted an executive order to ensure that the local governments are free from the April springs of the governors. It failed. And then the only thing you think you can do is to run to the Supreme Court to now, it's not going to work. And that was why, I keep referring to when this debate also came up in one of the plenary sessions at the National Assembly, at the Senate, where the Deputy Senate President, Jibrin Barau, said that, look, it's not going to be part of any attempt to use any other means to free the local government from the governors if the first step of ensuring free and fair elections at the local government level is not done. That should be the first step. The first step should be how we take SEC, this so-called State Independent Electoral Commission, away from the hands of the governor. Create a situation where you can have a transparent, free, and fair electoral process at the local government level, and then you can now begin to see this change come naturally. You understand what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, we've gone through the back door, gotten a Supreme Court judgment that looks like a contradiction of an earlier Supreme Court judgment on the same matter. Now to implement has become a problem. Sandra. I remember that Seyi Makinde told them that, look, despite the Supreme Court judgment, every state will still look for homegrown solution to their problem.
Well, like
Anambra State. Exactly. That word, homegrown solution, is pregnant with a lot of meaning, Sandra. It depends on the way you want to analyze it. And that is what the governors have been doing. The first thing they do is to organize sham elections in all their states. Just put their cronies who will be ready and willing to do their bidding. And then the next thing they do is to work with the state assemblies to begin to now create laws, which is within their powers, to ensure that, look, what they still want to do is done. So at the end of the day, that is what they are calling the practical impediments now. They look at the law, they are looking at the judgment. To implement the judgment has become a problem. And that's why if you read the story for the Sandra, even the Senate President now is now saying that, look, what they will now be doing is to liaise with the lower chambers to find a way to amend sections of the Constitution so that the Supreme Court judgment can become something that can be implemented. So at the end of the day, that idea of running to the Supreme Court to contradict its own earlier judgment on the same matter is not helping matters now.
It's all right. But just as you have said, homegrown solutions, pregnant with a law. I mean, just in October this year, the Anambra State House of Assembly passed the Local Government Administration Bill 2024.
Which they have the right to pass.
With a lot of condemnation, there's a lot of controversy around that. But Section 31, Subsection 1 of the bill stipulates that the state shall maintain a state joint local government account into which all federal allocations must be deposited. Section 14, Subsection 3 further mandates that each local government must, within 2 working days of receiving their allocations, remit a state-determined percentage to the consolidated account.
Don't worry.
It's okay.
And I can tell you that, look, whether you like it or not, in a federating unit, in a federating state, states have rights to make these laws. Until we go back to the Constitution to do the right thing.
So this fire and brimstone that, is pouring out from the Ministry of Justice or from the Minister of Justice now, what exactly is it going to change, or what exactly is it going to do?
That governors will be charged for contempt of court. How? These are even governors who have immunity to start with. So how do you go about doing that? Okay, maybe you arrest their accountant generals or who. We said that, look, even without all of these state assembly passing laws for people to remit back the money, the reality is that so long that you have situations where, they put their cronies in a very fraudulent election that they have conducted, they will still have ways of getting this money back. It will just be like placeholders in the local government. So when you collect, you remit. You understand what I'm saying? We've talked about Lagos State, for example. It was said that, look, elections will not be conducted in all the 57 local governments, but in the 20. The others are going to be some sort of homegrown arrangement. But the reality is that money should still be moved around in an homegrown solution arrangement, even here in Lagos. So at the end of the day, we need to look at our laws, and you know the reason why we ran to the Supreme Court instead of trying to amend the Constitution. Because you have to still go back to the governor
on the sideline
to get it done.
On the sideline.
Yes.
On the sideline.
Yes.
How was
Yes.
how was Lagos local government election?
No. I think the election is coming up next year. It's coming up in 2025.
See. These are the issues.
Yes.
Fuad. I asked that question deliberately. I'm just trying to understand. You know, there are still states that have not even, because according to that judgment, the judgment had a lot actually to say, aside from depositing, funds into local government accounts directly. There's also the fact that no caretaker committees, will be recognized
have
going
elections.
forward.
Lagos have not put any. This as elected chairman, even though it's 57. But they will tell you that they are still recognized 20 local governments that have elected chairman. So they will tell you it doesn't really affect them. But what I'm saying is that, look, if the constitution recognizes only 20 local governments, and you are 57, even though the remaining 37 are LCDA, the reality is that you are still taking from 20 to share to 57. So how does that fit into this law?
Okay. It's all right. Well, that's that as regards that. That's as regards local government autonomy. It's the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper. There's still a lot to say because Minister Fagbemi, is stressing quite a lot as regards, especially to the local governments. No, apologies. Especially to the state attorney general.
Sandra, the easiest part of that Supreme Court judgment would have been the ability of the federal government to pay directly to the accounts of the local government. So if a simple matter has paid directly to the accounts of the local government, they have not been able to do. How then would they be able to monitor if monies are moving around or the local governments are returning the money back to the governor? What structure are they going to be able to use to check that? I know the EFCC will try and come in now and make all manner of promises and make some statements. So the simple thing of after 5 months, by now you should be able to pay directly to the local government. All right. You have not been able to do. So I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Wait to see it anyway.
It's okay. The story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. The story is on page 2, especially with Mr. Fagbemi going further to admonish his colleagues at the sub-nationals, that's the state attorneys general, to not invite, the attention of the legal practitioners disciplinary committee for misconduct. There's a lot to actually unpack from that one. Moving away from that story, still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have here INEC to phase out PVCs as they are planning diaspora voting, and that is on page 7 of this particular paper. That's the Punch newspaper. Whether or not it's something that we should look forward to or should be excited about, another conversation. But the Independent National Electoral Commission has proposed sweeping reforms to improve the country's electoral system following lessons learned from the 2023 general elections and subsequent off-cycle polls. And among these reforms being proposed are diaspora voting and phasing out of the use of PVCs during elections. And it said that they will soon present these proposals and more to the relevant committees in the Senate and House of Representatives. It said, and I quote, among the major highlights of the Commission's recommendations is the imperative of legal clarity in result management with regard to manual transfer versus the electronic transmission. The Commission also believes that with the introduction of the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, BVAS, the use of permanent voters' cards as the sole means of identification for voter accreditation on election day should be reviewed. Those who already have PVCs can still use them to vote, but going forward, computer-generated slips issued to the voter or even downloaded from the Commission's website will suffice for voter accreditation. This will not only save cost, it would also eliminate the issues around the collection of PVCs and the diabolical practice of buying up the cards from voters in order to disenfranchise them. There are also recommendations in support of diaspora voting, the unbundling of the Commission with the establishment of Electoral Offences Tribunal and a separate agency to handle the registration and regulation of political parties. Similarly, they would also step up on voter access and distribution to polling units. It is 524-page review report, so there's a lot to unpack from that. But Fuad, these proposals, before they get to the committees, what do you think?
Well, paper over cracks, Sandra. Paper over cracks. We are looking at processes. We are not even looking at the entire structure. Sandra, a process is as good as the structure. If the structure is faulty, the processes are bound to fail. If you understand what I'm saying. Now, we can talk about, we don't need to have physical PVCs. Why not? You will be able to download things on the website or platforms that should make you eligible to vote on election day. You can talk about, creating a more robust, network that allows diaspora voting. Those are just process-driven ideas. But the issue is that, look, the structure on which INEC is founded is faulty, Sandra. It's just like, you have a building that has a faulty foundation. And what you're trying to do is to check the windows. You're trying to maybe change some rooms, to adjust the sizes. You understand? One day that building is going to come down. In fact, it will eventually come down because of the faulty foundation. If you understand what I'm saying. So, look, for us to have a more transparent and effective electoral system, it has to be a complete holistic review, Sandra. Yes, there are some other recommendations. In fact, some of them would have to get to the National Assembly. You understand? For it to be effective. Some is just about processes and procedure that INEC can on their own implement. But what I'm saying is that, look, if we are talking about having a more transparent electoral system in Nigeria, it's not about whether you use PVC or use paper. It starts from the basics. How electoral officers are appointed to start with. Even Mr. Mahmoud Yaku himself. How do we get to the point where we take away the hands of the executive in influencing and manipulating who becomes what? The INEC commissioners, the resident electoral officers, the ad hoc staff. It starts with that, Sandra. Because the word independent is not just in mere saying it or in the acronym. It should be in the structure of the Independent National Electoral Commission, to the point where we know that, look, we have people who are truly independent in thinking, in mind, and appointments and in the elections. Not the one that we know that, look, most of these guys who are INEC commissioners and all of you are card-carrying members of political parties. Oh, yes, you might say in other kinds, it happens, it doesn't really matter. But we know that in our own character behavior, we are not as mature or civilized to the point where, irrespective of political affiliation, we do the right thing when it is required. So, look, I keep saying it. What we need to do is to take up that Muhammadu Waste 2009 committee report on electoral reform and implement it, make it our law. But unfortunately, there's no commitment, really. And I'm sorry, Sandra, if you have a government in power that does not even believe there was a problem with the last election, it means they're not going to even reform anything with the electoral system. And I'm surprised that the opposition has only been talking about coalition. Oh, they think that, look, these guys are not going to reform anything. But look, set the agenda first. Continue to impress it on them. Continue to talk about it. They do it, they don't do it. Make it a matter of national discourse every day when they wake up. Continue to set the agenda for us to reform our electoral system. But we just lie over it. We live in, we tell ourselves lies as if there's no problem. Well, there's a real problem with the way we conduct our elections. The other one is the security operative standard. There are rules during elections. Have we been able to define it? How do we ensure that on election day, security officers are there to do their job to ensure that voters are protected and all of those kinds of things? The shame we saw in the last election, Sandra, where people were stopped from voting because of their ethnicity and where they come from, should never repeat itself again. Right. Sandra, is that problem about PVC? What we saw where people were beating, we saw people holding chains. I covered the election, and they were turned back from voting because they thought they were going to go to vote their party. Is it a PVC matter?
But to be fair, this is mentioned that these are just part of what they are going to propose. But these are just the major ones, I guess. There are some other things that because
Sandra, they have a document to work with. Let INEC chairman and his people first adopt that Muhammadu Waste committee report. Okay. All of this is paper over crowd. There's a document they can work with. A well put together document for us to have a near. There's no perfect elections anywhere in the world, Sandra. But I'm saying that, look, this has been done before. There's a recommendation. Okay. Proving that, look, if we implement this recommendation, we'll be going somewhere with the electoral process.
Thank you very much. Further details of this particular report on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Moving on very, very quickly now. We also have here Circular Road. Oyo begins fresh landowners verification, and that's on page 44 of okay, I have to search for that, and that's on page 44 of this particular report as regards the fact that payment is already going to be made. This is 7 minutes past 8, and you are listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. We're looking through the major trending stories on the front page of our papers this morning. We have Said Fuhad via the phone line giving analysis to these stories. And don't forget that, And don't forget that we're also live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. So just very quickly, what we have. Apologies. What we have from the reports this morning, just trying to bring that out. But before we move on, as regards demolition or no demolition, well, that's that's in Abuja. That's a story that we also need to dig deep into, as well as regards buildings and what exactly is obtainable and what's not obtainable, what we should expect and what we should and what should be and what should not be. Yes. It's not on the front page of the Punch newspaper, but it's somewhere in the Punch newspaper. So just quickly take that whilst we try to, gain access to your conversation. We have here, Senate orders Wike to halt Abuja house demolitions. The Senate on Thursday has directed the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, to immediately halt all ongoing property demolitions in Abuja. This resolution followed concerns over alleged irregularities and the hardship caused by the demolitions, and they have summoned Wike to appear before an ad hoc committee formed to investigate the demolition activities. And this decision was prompted by a motion raised by Senator Iritikingigbe, LP, Labour Party FCT, during plenary, which was seconded by Senator Natasha Akpabio-Duagon, PDP Kogi Central. Fuad, let's talk about Wike's demolitions in Abuja. For some months ago, some people came forward to try to, call the attention of people to their plight and what they are going through in the states. And as soon as Wike became minister as well, he may put out some statements. There was a list of, buildings, and there was a list of, properties that if nobody comes forward to, take ownership of or to say, oh, I'm responsible for this, that, and that. And now we're getting this report now from the Senate that they're going to look into the demolitions in Abuja. What are your thoughts on this?
Sandra, well, a lot of back and forth, really. Senator Iritikingigbe, of course, you know, that's the senator representing the FCT. I put forward a motion to tell the Senate to stop this demolition by Minister Nyesom Wike while the Senate investigates what is really going on. Because, of course, she's the senator representing the people of the Federal Capital Territory. I guess she's been getting a lot of complaints from people who think that this demolition has become a problem. In fact, the allegations are that, look, Wike is practically demolishing these properties and reallocating the land to his political friends and cronies.
Ew.
In fact, this social media guy, very dark man, has also been putting out things, alleging that, look, there are enough evidence to show that, look, as these houses have been demolished and these lands have been taken over by the FCT, they are being reallocated immediately. And Minister Wike, I think it was on Thursday, when he was handing over some vehicles, I think to the security operatives in the FCT, also did not deny the fact that, look, some of these lands have been reallocated with friends and cronies. In fact, one of the names that have been mentioned consistently is Kingsley Chinda, Honorable Kingsley Chinda, who is from Rivers State. Of course, he's an associate and friend.
Minority leader? Kingsley Chinda?
Yeah, the minority leader. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And what Wike said, is that, look, they said I've been allocating it to my friends, blah, 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 blah. And so what? Now somebody from Rivers State also own a land in Abuja. Yes, that's what he said. So now this is the issue here, Sandra. Just opening up now to commonsensical conversation. At what point do governments really go out to demolish people's properties and acquire the land. Town planning violations. And look, Sandra, that is why even when you violate extant town planning rules and regulations, there are always opportunities given to the property owners, to seek some form of correction. Now it is called regularization. Sometimes you are allowed to regularize. And why regularization is allowed is that, look, well, you contravened the town planning laws, rules, and all of that. But it's not as if the land is already earmarked for a particular purpose of government. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, this land, you were supposed to do this and do this before you build. But now you built without getting the required document. But look, you can always regularize. What you do is just you pay some penalty. They allow you to still regularize, get the appropriate document, you pay some penalties, and then you get your document. The question to Mr. Wike is that these properties you are demolishing, is it that this land have been earmarked for particular purposes of government, overriding public interest, that cannot be waived for them to now regularize titles to their property? If that is the case, Sandra, then you cannot demolish somebody's properties, acquire the land, and reallocate to another individual. Sandra, you don't understand what I'm saying. If, for example, someone or people have built on a land, for example, that have been earmarked for an airport project, at that point you are saying, no, there's nothing you can do. You cannot regularize this one. Because there's already a plan that this land will be used for airport of the FCT. I'm just saying. And then you built on it, sorry, you have to remove your property. Because it has already been earmarked for a particular project. So there's no opportunity to regularize. But if it's about, the land has not really been earmarked for anything, but look, you built without getting 1, 2, 3 documents, which are supposed to have happened before you build. Look, in governance, there must be a human face to governance, Sandra. And so when you now demolish people's property, allegedly, and then you acquire the property, land, and then you reallocate to other people, what are you telling the people? That's unfair. And you have, he said, what? And so what? If I reallocate him, so you have a man, Sandra, that I think nobody can rein him in. He's a man that sees himself as bigger than everybody. Nobody can talk to him. And let me tell you, it is the same attitude that put him in problem in Rivers State. A man that will not listen to anybody but himself. He thinks he knows more than everybody. He thinks that, look, when it comes to the structure, he's the most intelligent, he's the wisest of them all. Nobody can talk to him, nobody can advise him, nobody can counsel him. Look, Sandra, people like that run into trouble eventually. And that is what happened to him in Rivers. And what I'm saying is that, look, I think all of the frustration of Rivers is putting it on the whole of Abuja. What he has lost out on, the frustration of Rivers State, now Abuja people, they suffer. Even to sit down with the senator that have been elected by the people of Abuja, he has not been able to do that, Sandra.
Yeah.
From day one, he has been fighting that woman. They can't even see face to face to discuss, the governance in Abuja. A senator representing the people, even if they are not of the same party, what's the big deal? If governance is really about the people. But again, that's a weekend for you.
Thank you.
The Senate, so at the end of the day, it's just what it is. If you have characters like this in government, this is what you get.
Thank you very much, Fuad, for shedding light and putting some clarity on that one. That's as regards Wike, anyways, in Abuja. There's also another story that we also need to quickly take a look at, and that is the Oyo State Circular Road. The Oyo State government has announced the commencement of a new verification process for landowners and claimants impacted by the acquisition of land for the segment 1 section of the Senator Rashid Ladoja Circular Road.
For a road project, can you see now? You see that it's different. A project for overriding what? Public interest. It's a road. But this property that UK is demolishing Abuja. What are the lands supposed to be used for?
Why? All right.
Is it to collect and reallocate to other people?
As it is now.
That why the money people's property?
The special advisor to the governor on print media, Moses Alao, has said landowners must come with various documents, including local government identification certificate, resident permit for non-indigenous, land purchase agreement, your NIN, 2 current passports, letter of power of attorney from the Ministry of Justice as for proxy purposes. If someone is doing it on your behalf. All right. And The verification exercise will be overseen by a monitoring team tasked with ensuring the proper disbursement of compensation to landowners and claimants affected along the route. Other requirements: bank details, survey plan of the property or farmland, photograph, an affidavit from the court, and the verification will take place at the Islamic High School, Orita Bashoron in Ibadan, from December 15th to December 2024. So, claimants should go to the Ministry of Lands on Friday to check the batch that they belong to, because it will be done in batches. That is a very coordinated thing, exercise, don't you think? What?
Of course, so check that against what you see in Abuja. That is, we have not even gotten, and we need to ask ourselves, because some of the property owners, in some of the other sources that we've seen them talk about this demolition, have said that, look, some of them were even at the point of regularizing titles to their property before the demolition bulldozers came. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying that, look, sometimes, Sandra, essentially you have to look at the mood of the nation. You also have to read the room. Things are tough as it is now for people. And this is the least time that the government will be so happy to go about demolishing people's properties. I'm not saying that, look, people who violate plan regulations, maybe they built on places that are supposed to be used for road, that's used for infrastructure overriding public interest, maybe under power cables and all of that, because you can remove things. Shanties, for example, that are security threats to the capital city can be removed. What I'm saying is that, if it's about, you were supposed to get this document, you didn't get this one, look, that's why there's always an opportunity to regularize. But at the end of the day, you have a man that feels that, look, I can just do whatever I like.
Thank you for
But when he said that, look, even if I reallocate the land, so what? I said, hey, just imagine.
Look at that. Well, we used to have a demolition man as well, somewhere in the north. I think it was Kano State.
Yeah, stop.
I know.
Don't rest. That man, don't rest.
I mean, just 2 months or so into his administration, they was just grazing everything.
So that one was a political.
Very quickly.
The
bulldozer. Just raise it down. All right, so still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, very quickly now. Tax reform. APC governors may meet National Assembly as ACF, that's Arewa Consultative Forum, raises panel, and that's on page 2. So the conversation on tax reform continues. The president is to present the 2025 budget to the National Assembly on Tuesday, and that's on page 41. I was reading over yesterday. I was reading yesterday. There's a state. I don't know if it was Fuad's beloved Taraba or Assembly on Tuesday, and that's on page 41. We also have here state police. NEC resumes talks January as governors have submitted their reports. They have agreed, Fuad, to state police saying that every state has its own security challenge, so there's a need for a much more personalized or customized security strategy.
Well, we'll wait to see how that would end. There's still going to be a lot of constitutional review on this particular one. What will be the structure? How do we want it to work? What will be the roles of the governors? The federal policing structure we have now, how do we integrate the state police arrangement into it? It's still a long conversation that will still come on this standard. It's not going to come that easy.
Well, that's also on page 41. And finally, off the front page of the Punch newspaper, imported petrol landing cost has dropped to 900 naira per litre. And that's on page 29 of... and that's on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. So just very, very quickly, what we have from that particular report is that the estimated cost of landing petrol on Nigeria's shores has seen a considerable reduction of 36 naira. And according to the latest data that was released by the Major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria, the landing cost dropped from 936 per litre, which marketers spent to import products, representing a decrease of 3.62. This is also, as fresh findings have shown that oil marketers imported 90,308 metric tons of fuel between December 10 and today, December 13. Are we still importing?
Is that not what you are reading in the paper?
I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe I didn't understand. Anyways.
They said imported. The landing cost of imported fuel has dropped. Is that not what they just put that in the paper?
So that means we're still importing.
We are black boy alone. And we'll continue to import. So long people are not committed to doing the right thing. Because as it is, I don't know. And then what's the update on the Port Harcourt refinery? Have the trucks now started to load products from that refinery? You said they were begging them to come and load. Have they started to load from the refinery, Port Harcourt refinery?
You know, I apologize for the laugh, but you know what why I laughed was the fact that since the controversy that came up, and
everything just fizzled out like that.
Everything just fizzled out. We didn't hear anything. It's just radio silence.
So what's the update? Like, because they said they were forcing. No, we told them to come and be loading. We are forcing them. Do we have a price now to work with for the products of the Port Harcourt refinery? Are they already producing?
Well,
are the trucks loading now?
Everybody is begging people to come and load. Dangote is begging people to come and load.
At least we know that one is producing.
Port Harcourt
that one
refinery.
We know.
Wait.
You don't understand, Sandra. Dangote is begging you to come and load. He already has a working template. We are seeing even bringing out products already. In fact, I think as of yesterday, they said they are taking some products to Cameroon and all of that. So we know that things are going on there. Since the last time they said, oh, you people are naysayers, Port Harcourt refinery is now working, blah, blah, blah. In fact, we are begging trucks to come and load. Have they started to load? Do we have a price to work with now? What is going at the Port Harcourt refinery? These are my own questions, Sandra.
It's okay. It's all right. Are we still blending? Are we not blending? What exactly is happening?
We have even moved on. I've moved past blending. They told us now that blending is still part of a refinery. That is not a problem. We have suddenly now accepted that blending is part of the process. Okay, we work with that. Whether we blend or refine, what is going on? Our trucks now started loading. Do we now have a price that we can work with? That's the question.
Very valid questions, therefore. Thank you very much. Well, the story as regards the landing cost is on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. Now, very quickly, we have just a few minutes left to move on to the Guardian newspaper, and you're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. The major headline on the front page of the Guardian: health issues. More men are losing prostate cancer fight to hefty cost and late detection. And what we have is that quite a lot of data here. At least 49 cases of prostate cancer recorded daily. Of the cases, 31 die every 24 hours. And death will increase to almost 700,000 over the same period, mainly among men in low and middle income countries. And drug and daily costs average 570,000 naira per patient. That's a lot of money. Laparoscopic radical plenty things ranges from 15 million naira and 18 million naira. And globally, prostate cancer cases are projected to rise from 1.4 million in 2020 to 2.9 million in 2040. In 2022, over 18,000 cases were recorded in the country, and about 11,000 of them, died. Prostate cancer is the leading cause of cancer death in men, mostly aged 50 and above. Radiotherapy care costs average of 850,000 naira in public facility and 3.5 million in a private hospital. So this is a big deal. This is an important thing that I think everyone should, take note of. You have a brother, you have a father, you have a husband, you have a man basically in your life. I think it's something that people should practice. This is a lot of money to maintain at this point now. So prevention, they say, is better than cure, or maintenance now in this case. For what?
I think the level of awareness is still low here in Nigeria. Even for people who know, I've seen situations where the information is not as clear as to how, number one, to prevent it, and then two, how to even check if there's a problem. If you understand what I'm saying. Like the report was highly put it, because in one of the communication research again on health and population, we've had these conversations with some scholars, and what they said is that, look, the average man now out there who has information about prostate cancer thinks that it's about the number of sex you have in a month or daily or a week.
No, far from it. Very, very, very.
No, I'm telling you now.
I understand.
If you are sexually active, and look, what we've gotten from medical experts is that, look, it's even about lifestyle choices.
Yes.
What
you
the
drink,
food you eat,
the food you
what
drink.
you drink,
How you take
what you
care of
eat,
your
how yourself, the kind of clothes you wear, how you sit, you do some exercises, you understand? That can even help better than you thinking that, oh, you have to go on a stress tapping to help yourself out of it. And then the cost of treatment now, Sandra. Look at how much you're putting out. So you know that people will just resort to taking Agbo. Yeah. And in this case, I don't think Agbo can help. So it's a complicated issue, really. And this is the leading cause of death in men over the age of 50 and above. Now.
Well,
so it's just a big problem for men, really.
I think it's also very, very important to note that sometimes it could be asymptomatic, meaning that there are no symptoms.
You don't even know that you have it.
Yeah, so it requires a medical diagnosis. So it's very important for you to check your prostate every now and then, whenever you can. All right, very, very important, because sometimes there are some types of prostate cancer that grow very slowly. So you may not even know until it has gotten to.
How many men even know where the prostate is?
No.
You are saying no. You wait now.
I can't say something. True.
Okay. You know what? Okay. Maybe what we'll do is to send people out to do some form of vox pop, and then say, okay, meet an average of 50 men. Ask them, where do you have your prostate in your body?
Ew. Well.
And you'll be surprised that somebody will touch their head now.
No. For this. Okay. Thank you very much. Well, further details.
No, say we should do something practical about it. I'm not saying. For those who are enlightened, I'm talking about the level of awareness.
Yes, I totally understand.
You are in Lagos and you are in your bad area of Nigeria. You think everybody knows what you know.
It's okay.
You'll be shocked.
It's all right. Well,
somebody will touch your leg.
No. It's in your.
But you know where a prostate is.
Precious place. It's in your precious place. That's all. That's all I'll say.
For the level of awareness, I think we need to do more.
Yes.
To spread this issue of prostate cancer. It's becoming a big problem globally.
All right. Well, that's the major headline on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. For further details, check pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Also on the front page of the Guardian, we have FCT delays as governors OK state police and take final decision in January. We also have here local airlines roll out higher airfares for festive peak period, and that's on page 22. And we also have here 2027 INEC plan shift to digital accreditation in new electoral reforms. And finally, off the front page of the Guardian, federal government issues ultimatum to developers on Lagos shoreline, and that's on page 28 of the Guardian. The major headline on the front page of Vanguard reads 2026 World Cup qualification. A mountain too high for the Super Eagles. Now, we have writers here. My worst fears remain players' attitude. That's coming from Udeze. Standard for inviting players now lowered, Onasi says. Coaches shouldn't neglect home-based players, says Owosu. NFF encourages indiscipline in Eagles camp, says Enyema. And Toro Akoni want Egwavon to continue. There's been a lot of expectations from the Super Eagles and underwhelming reactions and attitude from the Eagles themselves to a lot of things that are in recent times, and that's why there has been a major concern as regards whether or not we are going to the 2026 World Cup in recent times, especially changing of coaches, the attention that the NFF is paying to the Super Eagles, and so many other things. The story is on page 14 of Vanguard newspaper. We can get further details there. And that's all we take this morning. Ondo workers protest, lockout leaders over unpaid minimum wage, and that's on page 10. And defections, page 9 has this. Labour Party heads to court. There's been a lot of japa in the Labour Party, so it could be quite an unfortunate one. But then the story is on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper. And that's all we're taking this morning as regards trends in the papers. Stay with us, don't go anywhere. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll move on to Milan Focus. And that's the part where you get to be a part of the conversation. So please stay tuned.